you recovering emo kids, Amanda and Rob here, and we have a very special episode for you guys today. Rob, tell them what
One
we're
of
going
the
to be talking about today.
one of the specialist episodes. It's a big deal. It is the 20-year anniversary of From Under the Cork Tree.
And I feel old.
Yeah,
I
this is a
feel like it.
tantamount moment. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Old
it's a
enough
big
to make a lot
deal.
of mistakes. I mean, 20 is not really an age where like anything in like as a human would change, but like as a milestone year, yeah, like that's a long time ago.
Yeah,
A
that's a
long
long
time
time
ago.
ago. A couple of decades have passed now. People's lives have changed. Fall Out Boy itself has grown and evolved. And so I figured what we do today is just talk about the album itself, talk a little bit about how it got made, its impact on the scene, and of course, our experiences about the album and how, we first came to be, and check it out and stuff. So I thought we'd do that a little bit today in honor of the album because it is one that I hold very near
Yeah.
and dear to my heart.
You like Fall Out
Because
Boy?
do I like Fall Out
You
Boy?
like Fall Out Boy?
Not really. Just a
I
little
didn't know.
bit.
I
I'm
saw
a
you unsure. I was
casual
like, it's
listener.
interesting. Yeah, it's interesting. I was like, I was gonna say like name three songs. You know, you have the blouse on. Like, I wasn't sure if you were a fake fan or something like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
you're right.
making
I mean,
sure.
yeah, I like to get like band labels tattooed on me for just, funsies. Because
Yeah,
it
yeah.
doesn't mean
Just
anything.
trying to complete an aesthetic. I understand.
Exactly. Here's
Yeah,
hoping none of them get canceled. So yeah.
yeah.
All right, so Rob, let's talk about the scene going on. So 2005. This came out in May 3rd, 2000 or 2005, so it'll be 20 years on, well, when this comes out on May 3rd, 2025. So,
Yes.
what was going on in the scene at the time? What was happening that really, I think, helped like this album blow up?
So I think there was two things maybe going on in or two, three, let's say three main things or whatever. So there's pop punk, suburban, Tony Hawk, TRL, that era of Blink into Good Charlotte, that thing where poppier punk and that vibe is getting popular. At the same time, the emo side of things in terms of the dashboard stuff is also getting popular, as well as like hardcore music and not just hardcore music but other emo bands, like a TBS and things like that. Like at this point,
Mm-hmm.
brand new, like Deja Entendu had already been out. Like these albums come out, and um what sets this one apart is it kind of combines those elements of both those bands, but the one thing they had really, in my opinion, that the other ones didn't have is a world-class singer. I don't think, for the most part, in our scene up to that point, you could mark things in my world. And I say this as someone who was in bands before then and after then, and sang in both eras where and it was
Yeah.
to varying results, but it's like, but like, there was two eras where like before that, you didn't really have to be like a great singer, really, and then like
Yeah.
Patrick Stump happens, like, I mean, like obviously Take This to Your Grave is big and stuff like that, but like this album became just was so much bigger and more influential that like after this point, it was like you kind of had to be able to sing like a motherfucker to be able to do anything.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's really, I think that really is one of the things that set them apart here. Yeah, pop punk was popular.
Yeah.
Emo was pretty popular. Like the youths were already popping off. Yeah, at this point, if I'm not mistaken, uh, was was Three Cheers out at this point?
Yeah, because Three Cheers
Or is
and
that
was already
2004,
out.
right?
Yeah,
Okay,
that was
I was gonna say
2004. And that's why, because they did Warp Tour that this summer,
yes.
after this came out in May, and then they were doing Warp Tour all summer. I was reading an article where Lyman was like, we basically, put My Chem and Fall Out Boy, like they were going on at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, which is early, but at the same time, he's like, we had kids waiting around all day, and they were by the time they get to the end of the night, they weren't drinking water, they weren't eating, so they were falling over. He said our medical tents, 2005 was the most money they had ever made in the history of
Wow.
Warp Tour from ticket sales. Usually they make the most of their money off of sponsorships and stuff. 2005 was the first time they made enough money in ticket sales, more than, to make a profit off of ticket sales alone. And it also, their medical tents were the fullest they had ever been because people were
Wow.
waiting to see My Chem and Fall Out Boy because both of them
Yes.
had just, MTV took that Sugar We're Going Down video and, obviously Helena, but took that Sugar We're Going Down video and played the crap out of it. People were calling for it on TRL, because they did something different. I remember when I watched an interview with Pete and Patrick and everyone, and they talked about, usually people in their scene, the types of videos, it's, guys playing in front of like a pool party or thing. We want to do something different because we're different guys.
The only treatments for our video that weren't like dudes with mohawks hanging out at a pool party, and that's pretty awesome.
And so they
Yeah.
had a bunch of treatments that came to them, and the one about the
It's
reindeer kid,
iconic. Like you just
yeah,
as soon as you see like from the very beginning, you just see that the antlers, and it's just like
you know,
you get it almost too.
yes,
You get
yeah,
it. It's like
you
it's
get the
iconic.
appeal, yeah, and so that really helped just catapult them. And then of course this album itself, just the direction they took. Another interview I was looking back on that Pete had done. He said we had wrote like 10 songs that were completely like not Fall Out Boy. Then we wrote 5 songs that were very much like Take This to Your Grave. And then after we did all that, then we wrote the songs we ended up writing
Yeah.
for From Under the
You
Cork
got
Tree.
yeah, got to get it out of the system first.
Yep,
Yeah, like okay, here we
exactly.
go. This is where it
Yeah,
is.
exactly. And so, they started the process of this in 2004, and obviously they were still touring and everything like that. And a lot of these songs they were playing live. Some of the, first iterations of some of these songs. There are demos from this album that they did play live that never made it onto the album. Some of those songs you
Mhm.
can only see a live version of them on YouTube. There are demos of some of those songs that are released on YouTube and stuff, but some of them you can only find a live version of, which is insane that they did
Wow.
like sometime in 2004. So they had started filming this or recording this in November 2004. Somewhere into, I think it was like March of 2005. And it took that long because during the process, Pete was also going through a lot, which I think fueled a lot of the songs and is what
So this
helped
is
make
this
it.
was kind of like that's another major thing too. Okay, I'm talking about his angel, like, Patrick's angel voice, but realistically, at the time, the X factor of this band was like Pete Wentz was like Takashi 6ix9ine of our scene or something,
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean? He was whoever is like the hot rapper that everyone is gonna talk shit about or something, like that was Pete was so famous. Like he was one of the only
Hmm.
people in our scene that was legitimately like
Famous.
famous, and and just like early
Yeah.
internet, one of the early internet stars, almost like that. He was just so
Yeah.
ahead of the game in getting out there while also being uh, problematic and probably going through the worst times of his life and stuff like that too. So it's like it all doesn't help, and
No.
then he's airing it out in the dirty laundry in the songs. Like he was like a cult of personality or something at the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No,
One of the
100%.
only ones we had in like a no rock star, no rock stars in our world, but like he was a rock star.
Well, yeah, he was a rock star because he was already by this point, he already had his clandestine industries line. It's not as big as it is like today by any means, but
No,
he still was doing
yeah,
his business stuff
he was a
and yeah.
hustler. Yeah.
Yeah, he was already like because Brendan Urie makes an appearance on From Under the Cork Tree, doing some backup vocals, and you don't realize it until later on. 7 Minutes in Heaven, which is the song that is actually yeah, Ada Von Halen. Yeah, so that one actually was written a little bit later in the process because it's based off of or was inspired by Pete's attempt
Yeah.
at taking his
Didn't
own
take too
life.
much Ativans, yeah.
Yeah, and so it happened in a Best Buy parking lot in February of 2005, and so he called his
Where was the
manager.
Best Buy?
Luckily, well, in LA, because they were in LA at the time. They had so Take to Your Grave was recorded like in Chicago, Wisconsin. But for this one, now they had Island, it was gonna be their major label. Island's like, we're
Yes.
gonna fund this. We want you to do it properly. And after several tries, their AR guy Rob convinced Neil Avron to produce them. The first demo apparently that Rob Stevenson, which is their A&R guy, sent them. Neil's like, this, I don't want to work with this because he'd already worked with like Newfound Glory. He wanted to like work with good
Is this
bands.
the same A&R guy that worked with the Killers as well?
Yes, it is.
Interesting. Okay, so the Killers
Interesting.
would have been those other bands he was looking to work with. Yeah, shout out. I was
Uh,
thinking a lot about the
there we
Killers
go.
today.
Were
I was
you
thinking
really?
about them. Well, I was just like, I was trying to think about how to word it, like, or what to say. But it's just like they're a band, like their first two albums are like perfect to me, and then like
Yes.
like we talked about before, and just like that's it's an interesting thing they have going on. They're Weezer. They're what people think Weezer are. You know what I mean?
Yes. I
Like
yeah,
two good
agreed.
albums and everything's mids. Like Weezer has some good ones after that. Like I don't know if Battleborn is a great record. Good.
Yeah. But it's
Yeah.
good. Exactly. But
Anyway,
yeah, so
yeah, it's
same
disrespectful to be
guy.
talking. Yeah, let's not talk any Brandon Flowers on this
Brandon Flowers is
part
okay.
two
He's fine.
episode. Yeah, he's good.
He's good. But yeah, so he's eventually did send the demo that had a version of Dance Dance and Sugar Were Going Down, and Neil's like, okay, this works. Let's work together. But Pete was going through it, so they were in studio housing apartment complex in L.A. It was it was
They're at the Oakwoods.
yes, that's yeah, exactly, yeah, the
I
Oakwoods,
lived at the
yes.
Oakwoods.
Oh, of course you
Sick. The
did, Rob. Oh my
Cokewood.
God.
Yeah, we call them the Cokewoods. Yeah, I
Woo!
lived there.
That
I
must have been a
lived at
wild
the
place for a bunch of straight kids, but or straight edge
Yeah,
kids.
it was just a wild complex. Um,
Really?
yeah, I lived there. Yeah, I was seeing one of the girls that managed it, and so we stayed with, but it was like so like we'd be there, but like it was greasy. Like I remember reading in Laura Jane Grace's book like that she was there, and like that's where they put Kurt Cobain because it's like really kind of out of the way. You're kind of by Universal Studio, but like you're not you can't fucking walk anywhere. Like and it's gonna
Which is
it
what they
take
want, yeah.
yeah, so like that's where they put Kurt Cobain so he wouldn't sneak off to find, a dealer and stuff like that. They put him at the Cokewoods. It was
Yeah.
an Apple, so it was the Oakwoods only own half the apartment complex, and then like or
Okay.
like the Oakwood owns like certain units. It's an Avalon apartment though. Like Avalon's just like, like the corporate one. Like so
Of
like
course, yeah.
I lived in an Avalon, but the
That's
Oakwoods were like
crazy.
scattered through there. That was the Cokewoods, yeah.
That's
And
amazing, Rob, that you
yeah.
have that
Yeah,
connection.
yeah. The other stuff, well, yeah, but the the wild complex, like it's a
I
yeah. There's a
bet.
lot. Yeah, it's a lot of
I
yeah, rich whites. Yeah,
I know that Joe talks a lot about it in his memoir, just like being
great
there.
deli, great deli.
Yeah, and things like that. And I know like when Pete talks about it, they didn't know anyone at the time. They were all alone. They were just kind of like it was a bad for his mental health. And so that did
Yeah.
lead him down but he eventually like, luckily he called his manager when it was all happening. Manager called his parents. They got him to the hospital. Then he went home and stayed with his parents for a little bit, and then he came back. And in the meantime, he wrote 7 Minutes in Heaven, which apparently has Brendan Urie on it as well. And of course, there's a lot of other people who make guest appearances on it too. I think that William Beckett does some backup vocals. I know that is
hmm
it Newfound Glory? Is it
William
Chad? Is
Beckett
that
is on one just because just right now I was checking credits on them before we started filming and I saw his name pop up.
yeah? And is it Chad from Newfound Glory? Yeah, he does some vocals in was it I Slept with Someone in Fall Out Boy. But it was an interesting process for them. I mean, so speaking of all those parts, so Pete was really like shy also about recording. Like Patrick was good, even though he was shy on stage, like getting in the recording booth and singing his parts. He was good because to him that's like the part he loves the
Well,
most was always
yeah,
about making the music. Pete
Patrick's
was
also like a world-class musician.
I know, and he just can knock it out. He just knows
hmm
how to do it. But Pete was nervous, so like the spoken word part at the end of like Get Busy, he actually recorded that in a bathroom because he was too nervous to do it
He's
in
too
the
nervous to do
booth.
it in the fucking booth.
Yes,
Wow, very
I know,
fascinating. What an interesting dichotomy there.
right? Even though on stage he's the one who can't you can't get him to like stop talking on
I
stage.
get that. I get
Yeah,
it. I get it. It's weird.
yeah, it's
Very
it's different.
interesting.
Hmm. But yeah, so that was the whole process, essentially of writing it, and then of course we had our singles. It came out in May. It's been like two times platinum, and I think it actually debuted at number 9 on the Billboard
Two
charts, if I'm
times
not mistaken.
platinum in a time where like that's exclusively like
Yes,
I mean not streaming. That's
it's a
iTunes
lot of
era. Like
records.
CDs were not huge still at that point. Like
No,
people were full on, everyone had the LimeWire. So doing that two platinum to me honestly feels like pretty close to like borderline Linkin Park
Oh
hybrid
yeah.
theory level, like 8 or 10 times. Like they probably would have gone 6 times platinum if it was 2001. Just saying. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty big.
It was pretty big. And so this album, I think for them, I know just changed everything. We were talking about Warp Tour. One of the things that I had learned about the Warp Tour is so they actually had three bodyguards. They didn't have any in 2004. They needed three in
Wow.
2005. Apparently, both Pete Wentz and Gerard Way could not walk anywhere without a bodyguard. Michael McCormick had one bodyguard. So you could tell by this point that was going to be the last time they were on Warp Tour because
Yeah, they were
at this
too
point
big
they're
by
too
that
big.
point. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, because the crowds were too wild, and they were wanting a lot of Fall Out Boy, and I think what's great about From Under the Cork Tree is that you really get to see what direction Fall Out Boy was going to take and where their music was going to evolve to. Right, there's just a lot of that little bit of like Patrick playing with his voice more. There's a little bit
Yeah.
more of the different like hip hop influence. Not a lot like we see on Infinity on
No,
High
no,
and
it's not.
Foley
Yeah,
and
it's
stuff
not like, yeah,
later.
Infinity
It's
on
very
High, they
subtle.
totally give into it, but there's very subtle things here where it's just kind
Hmm.
of like, oh, like Pete might be a ball knower, you know what I mean? He might know
Yep.
ball. Like it seems like,
Yeah.
there's something about that, and Patrick is doing because like on the first album, like on Tickets to Your Grave, like he's crooning and there's like it's interesting like what he's doing and he's doing like fucking runs and stuff like
I
that, but it's
know.
kind of like it's still like for his level, for his, I mean, like it was still like amateurish compared to what he started doing, later on in
Hmm.
terms of really harnessing it and things like that. Like he was like a wild fucking, he was like a wild pony that like didn't quite have his legs underneath him yet. Like they were all over the place, but like, sometimes he like playing it live, he'd be fucking breathless because it's too
Yep.
busy. He didn't really know how to fucking highlight it, which I'd say he finally like really started like I'd say after this, Infinity on High, fully like between there, that era, maybe
Yes.
he like totally becomes like sex god, fuck you, I'm the greatest R&B singer
He
in the
is.
game.
Yes.
Like, you know what I mean? That to
That's how
me,
we
like
all feel. Yeah.
at some point right there, he gets that, I'd say. But like at this point, he's like, okay, okay, like this guy is good. You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
this guy's good. Plus,
He's
like
good.
the band was just really good at this point to me. Like I think, like when we were talking to, Chloe,
Yeah.
just talking about how like it was like the heaviest band. Like they were. I always say like Fall Out Boy, like I mean, the easy core, whatever stuff they call, it, like it's very much like happy hardcore. Like
Yeah.
they're doing the fucking chugs and the triplets and all that shit, but they're doing it like in a major, major key and shit like that. They're not doing it
Yeah.
like it's not dropped to C, it's maybe only dropped to D, so it like sounds a little more bubblegummy, but like Joe and Andy bring it. Like that's like those guys are
Yeah.
hardcore guys. Like they can bring
Hmm.
it. Yeah, and even after that, even like during their hiatus, he was ripping for
Oh
a
yeah.
while with like with Vultures, right? Or no, or not.
Well, he
Vul
did the damn things with
damn things. My
yeah,
bad.
yeah, with
Um,
Joe, yeah. And he still
so
apparently plays with other people too now.
yeah, but like yeah, he went to and like that'll wear you out. And Joe, I think just at some point the band became more experimental and stuff like that, but at this point it was very much it's like there's drums, there's two guitars, and this guy's gonna have to be doing the lead thing, and then there's the drums, and
Yeah.
like so like at that point the band's very much kind of carried by them musically, and they do a really good job at this point of like carrying the band, like keep holding it down.
No, 100%. Yeah, without Joe and Andy, because they're like the backbone musically of making it all work. Because I think in like one interview Patrick's done in I think 2023, he talked about how, back in those days, like 2005, like from Under the Cork Tree and stuff, the type of guitarist he was and the type of guitarist that Joe
Yeah.
was is very different than the kind of guitarists they are now. And like
Yes.
he was having to do a lot of these different things on the guitar that Joe at the time still couldn't really do. And then kind of roles reversed. So now in 2023, 2024, and beyond, they can switch up roles now. So they don't have, so Patrick can take it easier on the guitar so he can
Okay.
focus on singing and maybe not be so out of breath. And Joe can play more of the complex rhythms and stuff that Patrick used to have
That's
to
cute.
play because
Ah,
Joe
so
became
Patrick
really
was
good.
always better. Interesting. Of course he
Yes.
was.
It's really interesting. Like Joe and I are way different guitar players than we were when we wrote a lot of those songs. And so now it's a completely different thing where we can kind of we can kind of delegate these things in this different way.
Yeah.
So it's really fascinating. There will be songs that on the record, you know, a lot of times now we will totally swap parts from what the record was because at the time we were just, we were in different places as players.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Joe shreds.
because
Let's be honest. Joe's a shredder. Joe shreds.
he's a shredder. He
is
but
a
it's
shredder now.
it's interesting because he's a he and I have come from different places as guitar players, as like lead players, right? So a lot of the songs used to be this thing where there were leads that were like my leads and there were leads that were his leads, and it kind of had to be that way. Like we couldn't really jump between each other's thing. And so there would be these songs where like I would do a lot of these hammer-on parts, a lot of these whatever, and so I would have to sing and really sing out these big singing parts and do these like hammer-on run things or whatever, and it was just so taxing and whatever. And now Joe can play all this stuff, and because we were learning, we were the two youngest, we were like kids when we were doing stuff, so we didn't know.
A lot better.
We didn't know.
Everyone's gotten a lot better, but Joe's gotten tremendously better. Yeah, he's awesome now.
So now I can trust Joe and I can listen to him and he's shredding it and killing it, and then I'm like, oh, this is so much easier. I can like sing now, like whatever. It's like
I remember
That
like
man
when
just loves everything.
like pre soul punk, like around like 2000, we can do this this could be its whole episode, but I'll just say
It
that when that
could.
first, will literally be, I'm sure, where the one video came out where it was like, where he plays every instrument on the fucking song.
Yes,
You know
yes.
what I mean? Where it goes from like this and he's playing everything to like goddamn like marimbas and stuff, like, horns, every single thing. It was just like, I
He
remember
does.
seeing that and just being like Patrick Stump, like, oh,
He
like
recorded all of Soul
he
Punk by himself. No
I was
other
like, this
musicians.
motherfucker. I was like, this guy could be like, this could be Timberlake. Like, he should be Timberlake, And it
Yeah,
just,
exactly.
what? It'll be its own episode.
Yes.
I can't start thinking about soul punk too much. I'm gonna, yeah, okay.
You know,
Moving
me
on,
too.
moving on, moving on.
Moving on.
Let me tell you about the first
Yes.
time I heard Fall Out Boy. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, first time you ever heard this album in particular. Yeah, this album in
Right. So
particular.
I liked them already. I was like, I found Fall Out Boy. They were like my band to me almost like that. Like, you know what I
Nice.
mean? Because would have been the first kid at the school to find it. And then at some point, I remember going on the school computer when I wasn't supposed to be in the computer room at the school. Like I was skipping class, we went on the school
Mm-hmm.
computer, and I went on Pure Volume or something like that, and I saw like a thing about Fall Out Boy new single, and I maybe heard it there. I don't know. Like I couldn't, like on a school. I don't
Yeah.
quite remember the first time hearing it individually like that. But then like I saw the video, and then
Yes.
once you see the video. And like that song in general, like it's legit. Like I was thinking about it today. Like I'm like, this sounds so stupid, but I'm like, it's got like a smells like Teen Spirit thing to it almost, where like it's
Yeah.
instantly recognizable. Like it's just so good across the board. Every part of it is good to me. Like from the beginning with just like the drums to open up the song, that they come in and it just gives you this feeling, and then it drops out, and it's just like this guy can fucking sing, and
I know.
it's like it's legitimately like I've said, like I have text thread proof where it's just like I've said for years where it's like if I was president I would make Sugar We're Going Down like the national anthem. Like to me
Yeah.
that's my favorite song. Like
It's
that should be,
perfect.
it's a perfect song. Like even like like earlier today, like I was listening to it like to prep for this, and I was just when
Yeah.
I hear that song, I never don't get like that and What's My Age Again are like two of the only songs in the whole world where it's like I will never be like, okay, you can skip this song. Like I will always be
Yes.
happy to
Same.
hear Sugar We're Going Down. Like I will fucking, I will
Yep.
stand up for that one
You'll
all
do
day.
the lick salute
Every
for
day I will do that all,
it.
yeah, I will salute to that. Yeah, that's my anthem.
Yeah. No, what's funny about that is the chorus almost wasn't the chorus that we know now because the label fought them on, they said the chorus was too wordy. And so
Oh,
they
wow.
fought Pete
Surprise,
on, so
surprise.
yeah, right. The label was like, no, I think we need to make this less wordy. I think it's too wordy.
Like that's
And
what we do. The whole
luckily
fucking
they
thing is
held
wordy.
right. And like yeah, then luckily they held their ground because if they didn't, I mean that whole chorus is iconic. I mean every word in there is so important. So I'm glad that they fought for it and held their ground because without it, I don't know if Sugar would have been the kind of hit that it became.
Perfect song, yeah. It's a
I
perfect
know.
song. Perfect song.
Thank God we don't always listen to the label, man. I'm gonna tell you what right now, those
Right?
suits don't
Like,
know everything.
what a song. Just
I know. It's a great song. It's such a jam and that music video, it's perfect. It really was the great introduction to who Fall Out Boy is and what they're going to become,
and
honestly.
then the second verse there when it kind of like it comes out of the chorus and it's kind of like it feels almost like it's like you're in a speeding car and then it kind of slows down and gets to the right speed as it kicks into like the more than bar part. It's like the, don't mind me, I'm watching YouTube from the closet, wishing to be the friction, and like it's just like, isn't it messed up? Like it's just there's it's just so good. Like I can't say enough things. It's like every detail of it, of the song is just perfect.
It
A,
is.
a yearning to it and like like an honesty where it's just like, and you still like you believed it. Like there's nothing like contrived about it. It's like you can hear like by the way he's singing and you can see these guys and like even with Pete it's like Pete like kind of is like okay, he's kind of like a hottie or something like that. You can tell like he's kind of full of himself maybe, but you can also tell like okay, maybe that's a bit of a front. Like these are dorks. Like you can tell
Oh
like
yeah.
these are honest feelings, you know what I mean? Like it didn't feel manufactured at a time where a lot of like, especially we're deep in like like yeah, okay, emo pop punk stuff is
Yeah.
coming up. It's not quite at the peak of it, but like it's it's doing well. But like the main thing is like sleazecore, like retro indie rock,
Yep.
and that shit feels very contrived. Like we're too cool for this. Like the
Yes, the
Strokes, like
hives and yeah.
yeah, like we're cool. We're so much like we're doing the 50s again and we don't really care. And then it's like this guy being like, I care so fucking much, like
Yes, I care too much.
I care way too much. That is my fatal flaw.
Yep. I tried so hard to be the kind of girl that would be into the Strokes and the hives, and it did not work
No,
out.
my little brother
I
likes that
tried.
because my brother's 5 years younger than me, so he's right in like
Jet,
Strokes age.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Like his favorite band is the Strokes, and I'm just like I'm more of a Blink guy. Like I like those guys. Like I like leather jackets. I like
yeah,
the idea of smoking a cig or something like that. But it's like I'm really more into like the silly bouncy stuff.
same,
If I want to
yes,
listen to like Lou Reed or something like that, or the whatever they're going for, I can just go listen to that. I don't have to go.
exactly. You don't have to listen to
No.
their version of it. Yeah,
Sorry,
and
Julia.
then,
Babies.
yeah. So for me, the first time, I was kind of introduced to From Under the Cork Tree. I was a freshman in college, and it was obviously the later half because I didn't know a lot about them before that. I went to college in Philly. I spent a lot of time listening to hip hop music. A lot of my, friends and stuff. I was going to reggaeton clubs, trying to like fit into
Damn.
a different type of. I was like, I was trying to find myself. Freshman year of college,
I
I
get
was
it.
like,
I
I don't
get
know
it.
who I am. And so I remember I think I saw the video on TRL and I was like, what is this? Who is that? And I really liked the song. And then this guy I had a crush on in high school, um, who unfortunately later to turn out to be gay. So it never worked out
I was
for
gonna
us, but
say,
it's
give me his
fine.
name, but then never mind. That turns into
No.
like a doxing thing.
Sad. Yeah, it never really worked out. But he actually like we hung out that summer and he's like, you need to listen to this band. And so I was like, oh, I've seen them before. And I started listening to the music and I was like instantly like I could not play. Like I downloaded the CD off of LimeWire. I think I also bought it, but I downloaded it and Takes to Your Grave. I tried to like make a mix CD with all of it on it because I was going on a road trip that summer with my roommates, my one roommate to drive up to Boston. And literally, I was like, we have to listen to Fall Out Boy, this new band that I've discovered. And my poor
Wow.
roommates, we listened to it all the way up and all the way back from Philly to Boston. That's a 6 hour drive. So and all I
A
had
long
were like,
track.
right? And all I have are like Take This to Your Grave and From Under the Cork Tree. And I think by that point I was able to get off of LimeWire some of the unreleased demos and some of Evening Out with Your Girlfriend. So that's all I really had. I mean, now I can a whole
Okay,
8 hour
okay.
car ride. I don't even get through all of Fall Out Boy's discography at this point. But before then, it was very easy. So I would make them listen to it. I was like, "Isn't this great?" And my roommate Alyssa was into it, but she likes Sugar Cult and stuff. My roommate Kia was not into it. Mm-mm. No, not
So
at all.
so I think I told you, but I mentioned I think on first. So there was this compilation I got that was punk versus emo.
Yes.
And like that was literally probably the one that pushed me to be an emo kid. But like one of the ones on there was Fallout Boy, but it was like written like Fallout Boy or something like that. And it was called
Oh,
like
they
yeah,
come.
like Last Good, like Last Good Part of Town or something like that. It wasn't called or it was called like Where's Your Boy or something. It wasn't Grand Theft Autumn. And like I remember just like I played it on the CD player that first night, like where I pressed repeat. So like the song just and like I slept with it on for like 8 hours because it was just like I never heard anything like that. It was so neat. And then I got my hands on Take This to Your Grave and like on our school computer, the one that I found them on pure like the looking on Pure Volume on the same ones, like randomly they had Calm Before the Storm as a file on there. I was familiar with them, but it was just like kind of one of our bands, and then like
Yeah.
when that Sugar video, I saw that online, and then like literally probably like yeah, 2 weeks later, it was like, oh shit, this is gonna be Summer Girls big, yeah, like Blink
Oh yeah.
big, yeah,
Oh yeah. And it definitely. And then once Dance Dance came out, right? I mean, that was their second single, and that one is so vastly different from
yeah,
anything else
Dance Dance got
anyone
the
is
hose
putting out.
going, yeah,
Yeah, I mean
yeah,
that song,
don't
you
know,
know,
yeah,
it
yeah,
just changed everything. That rhythm in Dance Dance, and you kind of hear it a little bit in their song Where Did the Party Go has the same kind of bass, a little bit,
yeah.
just a little bit, which is on their Save Rock and Roll, but
I like that
album.
one. That's the one where they mention menthols. I love
Yes,
that
they
track, and I
do.
love that
And
line. I
organizing
get,
walk-in closets.
yeah,
Yes.
I like that. I like that. Yeah.
I like that song too. But yeah, Dance Dance kind of changed the game for them a little bit as well because it also showed us that they weren't just going to be a typical pop punk band.
No, that's the thing. It showed they can
Yes,
vibe. Yeah, like they got some
yes,
shit going on there. Like that was
exactly.
interesting. Like literally just like rhythmically and sonically, like that was different than what other bands were doing. In general, what
Hmm.
they were doing, like I swear to God, like before that, pop punk was like we would fucking if I had the guitar here, I'd show you. Like we would arpeggiate some notes, and like
Yep.
we do the power chords, and the drummer would do like the thing that like they saw Travis Barker do, and then you go like the you did basically the same things, and then these guys came along and were like, no, no, we're gonna do hardcore basically. But it's gonna be tight as hell, and then the singer isn't gonna just be singing like nursery rhymes all nasally. He's gonna be singing Mary J. fucking Blige,
Yes,
and he's
pretty
gonna be
much.
doing it like like basically as good as she does. As good
Yeah.
as a white boy should be doing. Like
Yep.
can this white boy speak Southern church drawl? For once, and he does. Yes, he can. He will, and it kind of just like it changed the game. You know what I mean? Like the running thing about TBS, like, okay, like the guy can't sing that very well, you know what I mean? Sounds like shit half the time. Well, everyone sounded like shit, like or was limited or whatever, you know what I mean? Whereas like this, they ripped.
So with From Under the Cork Tree, obviously, there are amazing songs on this album. Um, they just had there's like so many references to so many like movies and pop culture
Learned a lot
things
of
that were
pop
going.
culture through like
Yes.
wrestling and Fallout Boy, where I learned a lot of things. Like coffees for closers. I worked at like, in sales for years, and
Yeah.
I'd work at the dealership and they'd say coffees for closers, and I would be like, shout out Fallout Boy, and like they would just be like, what are you talking about? But it's like, yeah, like Fallout Boy, you know what I mean? Like I know
Yeah.
what Dexedrine is because of Fallout Boy, Like I learned
Yes.
about Ativan because of Fallout Boy, you know what I mean?
Same. There
Like
are a lot of drugs I did, or a lot of like
right,
prescription
a lot
drugs
of
I did not
prescription
know about.
medications I wasn't familiar with, you know what I mean?
Nope.
Like I learned a lot from this band. I oddly enough, yeah,
Yes.
culturally speaking, yes. Like I learned about 16 Candles. I learned about
That's
John Hughes
true.
films. I love John Hughes films. And I kind of learned
Yeah.
about him through Fucking Pete, yeah. I love Fall Out Boy, but I would say every album of theirs, this with the exception, like I think the singles on on Stardust are good. But like I think every album, the singles are nowhere near the best songs. They're either clearly like just single songs or it's like a why'd you choose like I don't care.
Yes,
Obvious single song, Sweethearts. Why did you choose Sweethearts? You know what I mean?
I do
Like
wonder about that
thanks
one.
for the memories, like obvious single song, like Babyface, Coco
God,
Del, like
yes,
great, you know what I mean? Like this
yeah,
and that. But like on this album, it's like Sugar is just perfect.
yep,
Dance Dance is like, oh, these white boys got some, some some
yeah,
groove to them and they can fuck, you know what I mean?
yep,
And then
probably.
16 Candles is just like beautiful. Like when it cuts out the I confess, I mess, it's just like it's just perfect, like little
I love it.
songwriting things where it's like they do those things so well where the whole band goes and then they cut out perfectly and just like the right amount of fucking instruments are still going, whether it be the start, the Am I More Than You
Yeah,
Bargained For, where the bass is still going, or right there where it's just the vocals before then the bass and drums and stuff come in. It's just like the musical dynamics on this point at least, the band Fall Out Boy is ahead of the fucking game to me. They are so
oh
ahead of the
yeah,
game of
yeah,
the other bands in their genre in terms of musicianship and dynamics and just little tricks in their song. Like I said it earlier, like I really think they changed the game and like they
they
elevated
did.
pop punk to not to like being not being something that you could just automatically do with your friend. Like they moved the punk out of pop punk in a way
Yes, yeah,
that I don't mean in a bad way. I mean like sonically they evolved it where it's like, oh shit, like we need to be good now.
yeah, and
Like
because
you
they
can't
didn't want it
just
to sound
yeah.
like everything else, right?
No.
They wanted to evolve the sound. They wanted to evolve their sound, and they weren't just going to play, you know, by the same rules that everyone else plays when it comes to that type of music. They're like, we didn't want to play by the same pop punk rules, right? And so that's why they kind of made a decision when they hit From Under the Cork Tree that they were going to grow with every album and change with every album. And
Yes.
they have to this point. Every album sounds a little bit different. There's a new sound. Even, in So Much for
And
Stardust, it's the same thing.
it's great, and it's that there's a reason they've been the one band from this era because okay, there's other bands that you can say are equally as big or could be bigger. Like sure, My Chem you maybe sell some more tickets because, but like My Chem ain't been around. Like Fall Out Boy took off what they really took off like 3 years basically.
Yeah.
Like the hiatus,
Yeah, pretty much.
they barely had a hiatus there. You know what I mean? Like you could basically like the hiatus could have been
Yeah.
gimmick for all it matters to us, where it's just like they've been consistently releasing great albums and playing festivals and just being like literally for everything I say about Green Day, you know what I mean, where it's that same thing and it's a musical McRib,
Yeah.
which you guys will hear more about. Like what this comes out on the third, right? The Monday, is that a Monday?
No, this comes out Saturday,
Saturday.
so
So you
they
guys
will
will hear
hear
this
that the
5 days
following
after
week.
5 days.
Yep.
You'll hear this where we discuss the musical McRib, right? Where it's like Fall Out Boy is a band that like for the most part they avoid having to get musically McRib because sonically they don't sound like a period in time that like a Green
Yes.
Day or a Foo Fighters or a Weezer or those other legacy
We'll
rock
always, yeah.
bands like or Blink will they'll sound like these eras. Like Fall Out Boy sounds like Fall Out Boy in whatever year it is. Like, even like
Yeah.
Young and Menace type shit, whether you love it or not. Like it's like if you didn't like Mania, you just didn't like 2017, you know what I mean? Or
That's probably
2018, whatever.
true. Yeah,
Like that's
100%.
true.
Yeah.
Like you just didn't like the music then because that sounds like what was popular then. Like that sounds like Fall Out Boy's version of Black Beatles and Ray Shremmerd and the
Yeah.
Migos and stuff like that. Like that's their version of
Mm-hmm.
that R&B. Like they stay with the times and they do it better than anyone, and that's
Yeah.
because Pete's a fucking genius. The band is great. Joe and Andy just seem kind of down for whatever. Or Patrick's a musical genius, and Pete is just like innovative as fuck too. You know what I mean? Music and
Yeah.
like business wise.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean, I always think back to like, how can I, none of their music, with the exception of probably Take This to Your Grave, fits into a specific genre. Because, like, even when you look at From Under the Cork Tree or Infinity on High. That's not like emo, like in terms of what we think emo is, right? They're
No,
their
yeah.
own version of it. They're Fall Out Boy. That is the genre.
Yes,
There is like
yes.
that's what they are.
That's their own, yeah, it's their own little
Yeah.
blend of this stuff. Like I'd say Cork Tree is like a very elevated, very could be considered whatever this genre is. Like if you're Scott's record, you'd say pop punk. If you're anyone, you'd say like that mall emo or something like that, but
Mall
a more
emo, yeah.
bubblegum version. But like, yeah, I'd say from Infinity on High, when they start fucking around with Jay-Z and Babyface and
Yeah.
then like like all these like where they really start like at those points they are no longer just in our world. This is basically to me is like a victory lap of like, guess what, motherfuckers, we're the best pop punk, we're the best whatever you want to call us, we're the best of this world, and this is enjoy us while you can, essentially, because
Yeah.
we are going to be the biggest band in the world because we are aggressive like that. And at
Yes,
this point, this
100%.
is just like, okay, this is perfect, whatever you want to call it, pop punk, emo, happy hardcore, fucking
It is
easy,
what it
whatever,
is, yeah.
whatever you call it, like this is the best of that shit.
Yes. And this album definitely defines that for them and for the era in itself. I mean, when I look back at this album, it just for me it just really resonates with just where Fall Out Boy could really go and what their calling card was going to be, right? I
Right.
mean, there's just no one else that really even had the ability. And what's funny is when we talk about their musicianship, you know, a lot of people like I read the Where Are Your Boys Tonight and stuff, and they would talk about like how bad Fall Out Boy sounded when they first started. Like people are like
Honestly, there was the
it
thing.
sucked,
It was the thing people would say
right?
those first few years, like
Yeah,
up until Infinity, maybe
yeah.
people would say like I even like one I made one of my best friends ever, shout out Kayla Stewart, she's awesome, we became friends, she switched to our school
Mm-hmm.
at the very first day of first day of grade 11, which is I would have started 11th grade 11 in Canada, would have started it like fall of 2005,
Okay. Yeah.
and she was like, I assumed she was a couple years younger than us, and then she like walked into the same homeroom as me, and it was like, oh shit, like we're in the same thing. And then like we hung out at lunch, and like Fall Out Boy came up, and she was obsessed with Fall Out Boy, and she'd seen them, and it was like we became friends because of that, and like still to this day is one of the best friends I've ever had. And it was like our
Yeah.
friendship started around like, you like Fall Out Boy too, you know what I mean? Like, and it
Mm-hmm.
was this at this point, even at this point where like sugar is massive, it was still like kind of this thing like that felt like it was for us. You know what I mean? Where it was like,
Yes.
oh, this is our world. Like if you are hip to this, like actually hip to this, you know what I mean? Like you could tell, and it was like, we're locked in.
We're locked in. We're gonna be friends now because we have
Yeah,
something. Yeah, this band is important to us. That's how. So it was 2006, and it was the second time I had seen Fall Out Boy in concert, and I actually had met.
like the Nintendo tour or something.
No, it was their Black Cloud and Underdogs tour.
Okay, okay,
So yes, because I did that in the winter of 2026 or 26,
okay,
2006. What
okay.
am I saying? 2006. But so it was the Black Dogs and Underdogs, and I met two girls there, Caitlin and Ashley. And Ashley was a lot younger than us. She was like 16, because I was 19 at the time. And then Caitlin was like a year older than me, and they had gotten to know each other through like the Overcast Kids, and I had like joined the Overcast Kids Club, and we kind of met in the pit and we stayed in contact. We actually went to several Fall Out Boy concerts together. And Caitlin and I had become like, because
Aw,
we were the older of the two, became friends. And then she actually came to my wedding in like 2011, which is wild. Like,
beautiful.
yeah, because of
You've
Fall
been
Out Boy.
married
And
for
then,
14 years.
yes.
Did you also got married because of Fall Out Boy? Technically,
Yeah, well, yeah, my husband was into it. Um, we met at a club in 2008 in Myrtle Beach.
in Myrtle
Night,
Beach, you met your husband in Myrtle Beach? That's the most white
yes,
trash shit I've ever heard. I love
yeah,
it. I
yes,
love it.
yes.
I've never
And
been, but I just imagine like what Myrtle Beach is like the mecca for like white trash
oh,
dudes. Like it calls to me. Like I feel like
yeah,
I have a
well,
birthright trip to Mecca to
oh, yeah,
fucking
that's
Myrtle
awesome.
Beach coming to me. I don't even know how
You
that
should
came there,
go.
but
You
it
should go.
knows.
Well, unfortunately, the club we met at no longer exists.
Oh, rest in
We
peace.
tried
The
looking it
Boogie
for
Board
it.
Barefoot Bar is gone. Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry.
Oh, it was a club. Yeah. Pour one out for him.
That was dumb. Yeah, that's my carpet.
Yes,
Yeah.
but after him and his friend had driven from Kentucky to Myrtle, and my friends and I had driven from PA to Myrtle Beach, and we ended up at the same club, and we
Wow.
rented a place to sit or stand and put our drinks, and they had like a him and his friend had a little table round like a bar top,
Wow.
and so
Okay.
we went up to talk to him. And there's a girl, I don't know why this story is coming, but anyways,
It
there's a
has to.
girl
Yeah,
in
I'm
the
curious.
distance who is dressed like Britney Spears from the Baby One More Time video, and she's dancing very strange, very awkwardly, and it is very
Interesting.
like
Like
kind of
she's
embarrassing.
dressed like 98 Britney, but she's acting
Yes,
like 23 Britney. Okay.
pretty much. Yes,
Okay,
very accurate.
interesting. I'm into
Actually, that's
this.
true. And
Wow.
so my husband is a little bit younger than I am. I was 22 and
Okay.
he was 20, so he had not turned
Okay.
21 yet.
Okay, never mind. I was gonna
Yes,
say like you're on some Coog shit, but that's not so bad. That's
not
that's
that so
normal.
bad,
That
not
okay,
that
that's
young.
that's
Yeah.
that's normal. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. So my husband, I dared him. I said, I will buy you a drink. 'Cause he had a big X on his hand because he couldn't drink. I said, I'll buy you a
Yeah,
drink if
straight
you go
edge.
dance with that girl. And so he went and danced with her, and then I bought her a drink, and then we ended up talking all night, and that's how we found out we were into the same type of music. And I talked about Fall Out
Wow.
Boy and how much I loved it, and then we hung out the next night, and we
Magical.
did
In Myrtle.
in Myrtle Beach. We didn't do anything too untoward. It was like pretty copacetic. And then yeah, from there we went our separate ways, and I never thought I'd see him again. And then he started texting me, and next thing you know, we were long distance dating,
Wow. Long distance
like
dating in the
in
era of like
2008.
sidekicks. Yeah, so you're not even really like sending if you're like you're maybe sending some pixelated JPEGs, but you're basically going
Pretty
straight up
much
you're going straight up
on
phone
AIM.
calls. Like you're
Yeah,
aiming in phone calls. Wow.
we actually like bought a book. Each of us bought it was Nick Hornsby's All the Way Down, and I was like, oh, we'll read this together. We would read each other chapters. I'm such a fucking dork. I'm
This is
sorry.
a beautiful story. You guys read a book. You guys read books at the same time?
Yes, and then like
That's
we
really
exchanged like
special.
music. He's the reason. He actually is the one who got me into Story of the Year. That's his favorite band.
Wow.
I took him to see them last year for his birthday when they were doing their like 20-year Page Avenue because
Wow, the
that's his
20-year Page
favorite.
Avenue tour, and he got his Page Avenue tour. Well, I mean, I
Yes,
was gonna say,
yes.
so wait, he's 2 years, so he would have graduated high school in '05 then, right? Or '06?
Oh six.
Okay, so
Yes,
he's a
because
year
I was
older
oh
than me.
04.
Okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow, so yeah,
So
Page Avenue was his shit, yeah.
yeah, so 100%. Yeah.
Wow.
Hmm.
This is a beautiful tale of love and romance.
So let's break it down. So obviously I could say I love every song of this album, but in your mind, what are your top five favorite songs from Under the Cork Tree and
It's
why?
great you asked because I put in a lot of thought into that before we came on here. First off, my tie for fifth place. I love Dance Dance. I remember when I first heard Dance Dance, I really, really was just blown away. I
Oh yeah.
remember I have my greatest memories with involving music are when my dad lived in San Diego, so I'd be at my dad's, and I remember buying Cork Tree at the local music store on the corner here, right on Garnett Street in Dawes. There was a music store like on the
Mm-hmm.
main street where it's like that's where I'd buy my music, and I got there, and I remember just like riding around like with a Discman still, like yeah, I would still been using a Discman. This is yeah,
Yes, Jess.
yeah, before I would have had an iPod and just like even like having the lyrics out like on my bike and just like reading through the lyrics on there and Dance Dance was a song I'd always go back to. But kind of as Dance Dance became a single, that was one song that like, I kind of got tired of. So I put it in the fifth
Makes
place
sense.
tie with Dark Alley. I
Oh,
really,
okay.
really, really, really like that song. Like it just kind of like
Yeah.
it's kind of reminds me of like Afterlife of the Party almost, where it's got this like slow
Mm-hmm.
burn thing where like Patrick eventually just like fucking lets loose. Spot number four is 16 Candles. I love
You love
16
16
Can.
Candles.
I really, really just it's a
I'm
great like
glad you do.
it's just great. I get hyped on it. Like the video is whatever. Like I don't love the video the same way I love like Sugar, but like it's just
You
like
should watch my edit of that video. No,
it,
don't you do that.
yeah, send it. Like it's just like it makes me like 16 Candles is just like it's just great fucking pop
It
punk
is.
bubble. Like I really like. I was told by this nice Jewish woman once, many years ago. She asked me to make her a playlist, and I made her a playlist, and she said everything you listen to kind of sounds like it's the last day of school in a John Hughes film where the guy gets the girl. And I said, you know what?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Like you've known me for less than 5 days on this Bumble.com app. Like I you already know me, shit. Like I don't think this is gonna work. Like you've already figured everything out. There's nothing else, like, but
Yeah.
that is like 16 Candles is like perfect like example of that type of sound. I love it. Sophomore Slump is my number three.
Okay.
Number two, kind of surprise, surprise, is I really like the closing track, XO. I just love like the like when it gets to like the bridge and it does the
Yep.
conscious press through the keyhole. I watch you dress, kiss and
This
tell,
to me
and
it's
just the
their
loose
sexiest
lips. Like
song,
it's just
one of
like
their
it
sexiest
like yeah,
songs.
it starts out it's like I comb the crowd and like it just has
Pick
an
you. I was like,
urgency.
yeah, pick me up,
Yeah.
please.
I remember like sitting around like I was talking to this girl. I'm not gonna say her name because she's married to a guy I'm friends with now, and this was a long time ago. But like anyways, I remember like texting this girl at the time. I'm like, but like next time I'm like, good. We're just like that like that song is there's kind of like urgency, like this like
Yeah.
are we gonna hook up sound to it almost, you know what I mean? And then it just builds into this big like a halftime, big powerful
Oh,
chorus where it's
so
just
good.
like it's magical and it's kind of like almost hidden because like it almost feels like if you listen, it almost feels like you would think like the track was before Get Busy Living. You'd think that's the final track. You know what I mean? Because it has the
Yeah.
big outro, the big Pete, the big Pete thing.
Yep.
Like that almost sounds like the end of the record, and then this kind of almost kicks in like a bonus track or something
It
after it,
does.
and it rips like just like it's fast and then it slows down and yeah, it just slows down into that
Yes.
beautiful chorus. Just great way to wrap up the best album of this era. And then my number one song obviously is Sugar We're Going Down.
Yes.
The
Okay. Yeah.
best song in general. Like, I love Sugar We're Going Down. It's the best fucking song, okay? Like everything about it.
It is.
I learned about like the words like mausoleum, like I learned from it. The play on words, it's just it's intelligent. It's how people feel. You know what I mean? Like if you're if you're just chasing someone or something, and maybe they ain't giving you the attention. It's like a universal feeling that just like, but feels very personal to you. And they felt like they sounded like they were your friends almost.
Yep.
Like these
No, I
guys
agree.
got my back. What are
They
your
do have your
five
back.
favorite songs, Amanda?
Yes.
What are
My
your
five
five?
favorite songs. That's a really hard question. Well,
Yeah, I
first and
said six
foremost,
like a piece of shit. Yeah.
all of these songs have probably been my aim away message at one point
At some
to
point, yeah,
tell
every
someone
line.
I'm
Honestly, I
mad
was
at
gonna say
them
that
or
earlier.
to.
Like I would say, I remember saying that at some point, like 2017 Drake at his absolute peak with like, only love my bed and my mom, I'm sorry, and all these things. Like at that point, Drake to me, I was like, the thing Drake does best is like it's like Instagram caption music where it's like it's tweets, like where his
Yep.
lines, he'd have these lines, these little snippets, these speaking sound bites. Jim Ross, the announcer, would say it's like Drake would do that. It's like Pete kind of invented that. Pete kind of invented Twitter
Yeah.
before Twitter is like where it's couplets. I mean that's the style of writing these
Right in
songs
his
where it's
thoughts.
like, he's going, yeah, right, but it's like drop a heart, break a name. It's like that's someone's bio on shit. Okay, that's like an
But
Instagram
yeah,
bio or like an AIM message. Like that is
it was
that's what they were
perfect.
doing. Yes.
Yeah, it was like it was made for the digital age.
Yes,
Like their
like
music
yeah,
was
he
made for the
was
digital age.
just so yeah, ahead of their like on their time basically, just
They
perfectly
were.
timed. Yes.
Exactly. All right, so for me, all right,
Yeah, what we got?
number five. So for me, number five would be our lawyers made us change the name of the song so that we wouldn't get sued. I think it's a great opener for an album, and I love the lyrics in it. Especially like I like the like, "Do Not Open Me Before Christmas," and it's just yeah, it's a great song. It's a great track. My number four is Sophomore Slump.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
Because
That's not.
I
Yeah.
like the I love the put our tears, put them on ice. Because I swear I burn the city down to show you light, which is what has been an
It's just
aim away.
it's beautiful. It's
It
a
makes
beautiful
sense.
song.
It's a beautiful
The
song.
like it's saying like the same thing, but it has this bounce to it. It's just that chorus. Just like, are we going
I
up
know.
or are we going like? It's kind of just it's just great great melodic and pop sensibilities that like a lot of bands in this world seem to like run away from at this time or
I
like try to
know.
fight, and it's just like they gave in.
They did, and they
Yeah.
just
Like
know how
yeah.
to just just make the melody work with the lyrics and make great lyrics. For me, my number three is Dance Dance. I love Dance Dance, purely just for the musicality of it, and it's to me, it's one of their sexier songs. And
Very
it's a
sexy
great
song.
song. It's still a great song live. So it's one of my favorite songs live.
Dance Dance
So
Rips.
I
Dance
think it,
Dance Rips. It's
yes,
a great
it's a great
song,
song.
yes.
Yeah,
And that's the one they
yeah.
played when they got kicked off of, or they got kicked off of, or banned from Saturday Night Live too, right?
Yeah, that was the one. They were fine on the first try with Sugar, and then Pete had to
No, they
go
got a little
and
too
break
loose there,
shit.
and you punched through the fake drywall and stuff like that. Lorne Michaels couldn't hang.
Yeah, Lorne Michaels apparently couldn't hang. I don't know why they like, obviously they're old, like, they're in their 40s now. Like, I don't know why they can't invite him back. They all love Saturday Night Live too. That's what kills me. Like,
Really?
they
That's too
love
bad.
comedy and they're never
Wow.
gonna be invited back. Like Patrick talks about it a lot. He's like,
Shame.
I'm just well, would love to be on Saturday Night Live. He actually did a
Come on,
podcast with,
Lorne. Yeah.
right? He did a podcast with Vanessa Bayer just recently too, and she was a cast member on Saturday Night Live for a long time, and she didn't even know that they were guests because obviously she's much
Yeah,
younger.
I was just say, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, she didn't realize they were, and he's like, yeah, I would love to be a guest again. I'd love to I always wanted to
It's
be on
like, yeah,
SNL.
we kicked through the
Yeah.
drywall, going crazy, spinning around off each other's back while singing the horned up song about like, why don't you show me a little bit of spark? Yeah, just
Such a good verse
being
though.
perverts. Yeah, just
So then my number two is actually XO as well. I love XO.
right. Okay, I'm not the only
Yes.
one, right? There's something
No,
to
it
that
is.
one where just like, yeah, I always go
Yes.
back to that one.
I'm hoping to hear it live once. But then my number one
Wow,
actually is I Slept with Someone in Fall Out Boy and all I got was this song written about me.
interesting.
That is I just love, obviously it has a lot of the elements that you love. It has just the musicality. It has this I don't want to say spoken word part, but it has kind of like that Pete screaming portion in it. It
Yes.
has just great lyrics. No, I found the cure to growing older, and you're the only place that feels like home. It just douse yourself in cheap
Something cheap
perfume.
perfume. It's so
Ah,
yeah. It's
so
just like
fitting.
yeah.
You can't cover it up, man. Like it's so
Beautiful.
true.
Like that's like that. Like
Ah,
honestly, like did Fallout Boy? Okay, one. Did Pete Wentz invent Twitter? And was he the precursor to Drake? Also, did Pete Wentz invent incel and incel culture?
it's a great
Because
question.
this is like doubt yourself.
Whew.
Like there's some stuff in here where there's some like borderline violence implied, where it's just like, damn dog, like we're going hard. Like this
Yeah,
this fool's mad at the ladies, you know what I mean? Like,
was not happy. Yeah, this and Take This to Your Grave. Sometimes that's in their songs again. You must leave some of your
right,
feminism at the
yeah, it
door to
happens,
go and
yeah.
enjoy and realize in my mind, I'm like,
Yeah.
I can translate this to how I feel about a man. It's fine.
It's
So it works
understandable,
for
yeah.
me.
I don't think, yeah, he's not saying all these and yeah, tricky area that it's yeah, we don't need to be
Yes.
talking about misogyny in music in 2002 and 1 and 3 because yeah, I can't speak for those people. I can't speak for the people now. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, that's my number one of all time. That one I did get to hear live recently, thanks to Pete
That's
Wentz,
nice. That's
because he listened to
nice.
me.
He did?
Yes. So when I interviewed
Shit,
him,
you're not kidding.
yeah, so when
I think
I interviewed him 3 days before Riot Fest in 2024. And after the interview, I was showing him my tattoos and I was telling him how big of a fan I am.
yeah.
Because I interviewed him for the comic book he did. And I was like, oh, by the way, I was like, a lot of us would really love it if you guys
Did
did
you
I Slept with Someone to Fall Out Boy for your 8 Ball for Riot Fest on Friday. And he was like, that'd be good. He's like, I'll have to ask Patrick. He's the one who makes the decision on those. I was like, oh, he does? Okay. I was like, oh, cool. Well, that's great. Thanks about that.
You're like,
That's awesome.
cool.
You tell Patrick about it. And so I was like all excited about it. I tweeted about it. I was like, oh guys, I asked Pete if they would play some at Fall Out Boy. So flash forward to Friday, Riot
Yes.
Fest, and we get to the 8 ball portion, and I was so like, I was like, oh, they gotta. I wonder if they'll play. So then they, do their little weird like, oh, we don't know what we're gonna choose. Look at
They're
what the
doing
eight
like the
ball
whole,
choose
yeah,
for
the
us.
whole show. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And they're like, should we play an old one? I was like, oh. And then they played Head First. I was like, oh, well, I mean, it's
It's cool,
older,
but
so
yeah,
it's
I
fine.
guess, yeah. You
Yeah.
probably
And so
heard
I
it by
thought
that
that was
point.
it. And they're like, let's run that shit back. And I was like, they're gonna play another 8 ball. And then he's like, should we
Wow.
play one that's even fucking older? And then I found and I was like, oh my
Just
God,
milking you. Just
I
milking
freaked
you.
out.
Wow.
Like the video I have, the screams I scrumped, and my Twitter feed is like going crazy because
Wow.
yeah, I was
You
like,
did.
oh
Yeah,
my
you
God.
kind of made that happen,
I
honestly.
mean, I'm
Yeah, that
sure
is,
like
I mean,
whether or not he remember, he just it was in his head, and then he's like
I
mentioned
was
it
gonna
to
say, yeah, he
Patrick,
at
like
least,
we
yeah, you at
got
least
like
brought it up. Yeah,
I
like,
was like, regardless, I was like, that's crazy. I was very excited. That will be my one
I was gonna say
shining defining
that's
moment
a
of
special moment.
life.
Yeah, like I'd be putting that
Yes,
in the obituary and stuff like that.
that will be in my obituary.
Yeah, I'm honestly, yeah, proud of you for that one.
Survived by 2 children, one husband. No, I probably outlive him, but survived by 2 kids and got feet went to do
And
a
one time,
song.
yeah, one time, yeah, I then play Slept with Someone in Fall Out Boy. Yeah,
Yeah.
at Riot Fest.
So yes.
Very big
So
news.
clearly you see how big From Under the Cork Tree is for me.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get
Big,
it.
big album, big album. But yeah, so those are my top 5 songs. Obviously, it changes and varies sometimes from day to day, depending
Yeah,
on how I'm
that's fair.
feeling. Exactly. But yeah, From Under
Beautiful.
the Cork Tree, a great record, 20 years. It's
Yeah, you guys should check it out. How many stars you give it out of five?
oh God.
What do you give it? Like
Are we
official
ranking
ranking?
it?
Yeah, give it an official
Ooh,
ranking, I guess. Yeah, like official emo kid ranking. Yeah, here we go.
here we go. Oh God. I mean, in my heart, I just want to say a 5 out of 5.
I was gonna give it a 5 out of 5.
Oh, you were? Okay,
I was gonna
good.
give it a
Okay,
five
so
out
I
of
was gonna
five.
5 out of
Yeah,
5
yeah, no,
because
yeah.
it's a
I'm gonna give it a
fantastic
five.
album.
Five
Yes,
stars. 5 stars. Yeah, 5 stars off everything. Influence, musicianship, legacy. Songs still hold up today. Songs still hold up today.
they do.
And this is the album that catapulted this band to literally be the biggest band in our scene today. You know
They
what I mean?
are.
Like they're the only,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, they're the top. It
Yeah.
all started with this one. It didn't start with Take This to Your Grave. Like people liked that. It's a great record, but like this is the one where so many bands got this shot with that major label debut, like the MTV, like so many bands got that opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
These dudes took the ball and ran with it and then reinvented the ball and then changed the rules of the sport and then did it all over again like multiple times. And it's been awesome to watch them keep going, even if I don't love certain albums or certain eras or things like that. Like, and even then, like, I think I don't like them. Like, I remember not really caring for like ABAP. I didn't think I loved American Beauty,
Yeah.
American Psycho, but it's like I just didn't really love the singles. Like I love that record. Like no, my
Oh
daughter's name
yeah.
is Nova. I love Nova Kane. Favorite record. Like there's so like the kids aren't all right. Like there's so many
Oh,
songs on like
song
Save Rock
gets
and
me.
Roll is. I think maybe Save Rock and Roll might be their best record almost even. You know what I mean? Like it's great.
It's a
Like
great
Stardust
comeback
is great.
record.
Like Mania. I don't love all of Mania, but it's like I love Church. I love uh uh Wilson, you know what I mean?
Oh, I love Wilson. Yeah.
Wilson's one of my favorite songs. That's probably my top 20 Fall Out Boy song still, you know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
it's like that's just such a great band and it all starts
See?
with this was their intro
Yes.
to the world.
This is their announcement, and this is why we are co-hosts,
I was
Rob,
gonna
because I
say, yeah,
agree
that's
with
basically comes
that.
back to this one. Like
I was
this
like,
is
yeah,
really what leads us to finding each other here, like
yeah.
literally 20 years later is like, you know
20
what I
years
mean?
later.
Like, yeah, like I liked this, you liked this, we both fell into rabbit holes and different things, and it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
thanks, fellas. Yeah, thanks,
Thanks, Fall Out
fellas.
Boy.
Yeah, thanks,
Emo Kids
Fall Out
Anonymous
Boy.
wouldn't exist without you.
No, yeah, thank you. Yeah, yeah, well, yeah, our loyals probably wouldn't like that. Let's not try to give them any, ownership over it. They don't need our,
No, yeah,
yeah.
our lawyers would also make us change the name.
Yeah, our lawyers, yes, yeah. Which is, yeah,
Yeah,
we don't have them, but
but Thank you guys so much for watching our special episode
Yes,
from
thank
Under
you.
the
Make
Cork
sure to
Tree.
like and subscribe and and share and go listen to Cork Tree if you haven't heard it. If you've somehow listened to this and haven't listened to Cork Tree, then like
What are you
I'm
doing?
guessing you're like, yeah, you're like a pervert that has a thing for one of us or something, or you're just like you accidentally clicked on this and you lost your like television remote because you're logged into the YouTube on your television because your granddaughter was there or something. Like besides
Yep.
that, like yeah, you've probably heard it, but either way, go check it out. But yeah,
Yeah.
subscribe to our show. Our episodes are normally on Wednesdays. This is a Saturday. This is a weird one, but you might be hearing this a different day. Just imagine I said whatever your day is. And then on
Yep.
Wednesday, we'll have a new episode of our show and stuff on
Yeah.
Mondays and Fridays and all the time. So
Yeah, we're
just
always working.
hit the button. Don't be fucking tacky.
Yeah, just hit the button, support us. And guys, keep things emo.